Hello, welcome to Mr. Sullivan's math class. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between solving and simplifying. So earlier we went over the difference between an expression and an equation and how those things are different. And a lot of you guys, you know PEMDAS, right? So we use PEMDAS to simplify an expression, and we read it from the left to the right. We start with P, which is parentheses. We move to our E, which is our exponents. And this is just telling us what we're going to do. But here's something I want to emphasize. The multiplication and the division, that is from left to right, and order does not matter. So sometimes we've learned or been told that first we do multiplication and then we do division. And that's not correct. We do it from left to right. Whichever one comes first, that's what we do. And we do the same thing for addition and subtraction. We do it from left to right, and order does not matter. So let's do a couple of examples. And we'll start with, we're going to simplify this expression. So we have 2 times the quantity 1 minus x plus 3, and we need to simplify this. So our 2 distributes, that's multiplication. That's the first thing we can do because we can't simplify anything inside the parentheses and there's no exponents. So we move right to multiplication or division and we go from left to right. So we can distribute, which is going to become multiplication. So we get 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times negative x is negative 2x, and we just bring down our 3. So we have taken care of our multiplication, and now we're going to go from left to right, and we're going to do addition or subtraction. So moving right along, we have this negative 2x, but there's no other terms that have an x, so we can't do anything with it. So what we need to do is we need to combine our 2 and our 3. So we have 2 plus 3 is 5, so we have negative 2x plus 5, and this is done. We can't do anything else. I don't need help. Can't do anything else with that, so we're done. Let's take a look at another example. Down here, we have 1 half times 8x plus 4 minus 4 divided by 2. So there's multiple things going on here. And again, this is an expression. There's no equal sign, so we cannot solve this. We're just simplifying this as much as possible. So going from left to right, we would start with exponents. There are, or parentheses, excuse me. There's no parentheses. We can't do anything inside these parentheses, and there's no exponents. What we can do is we can distribute the 1 half. And I want to talk about something real quick. We're going to do this kind of at the same time. The negative 4 minus 2, I'm going to rewrite this, and I think it's going to be a lot more obvious. And I like to do this when I'm working on math problems anyway. I rewrite it so it makes some more sense. So we're going to kind of do two things at the same time here. I'm going to distribute the 1 half into my 8x plus 4, and I'm going to rewrite this so it makes a little more sense. So 1 half times 8x would be 4x, and 1 half times 4, our sign doesn't change, so 1 half times 4 is 2. And now our negative 4 divided by 2, I'm going to rewrite it like this. So it seems it's a little bit more obvious what's going on here to me. So let's do a little more simplification. We have 4x plus 2 minus 4 divided by 2. So the 4x plus 2, order of operations, right? Addition or subtract. We're doing multiplication or division next. So we have 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Our minus sign doesn't change. And so we've done all the multiplication. We've done all the division. Now we're looking at addition or subtraction. So we have 4x plus 2 minus 2. There's nothing to combine our 4x with. So we're just combining our plus 2 and our minus 2. And of course, if we have a positive 2 and we take away 2, that's going to give us 0. So we're left with 4x. And that's simplified all the way. We're done. So that is simplifying versus solving. So let's take a look at if we're solving an equation, and this is, I think, where the real confusion comes in. So when we're solving an equation, we have an equal sign if it's an equation, and it's equal to something. We can solve this, okay? But we're going to kind of use some of our simplification, our PEMDAS, along the way. But really, what's happening is we are using the reverse order of operations. And so I've just reversed our PEMDAS. I've turned it into the SADMEP, and everything switches, right? So instead of starting with parentheses, here we're starting with addition or subtraction from left to right. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something as well. There's multiple ways to solve this equation. And as long as our algebra is correct, we should get the correct answer. So we start with addition or subtraction from left to right. So I've got this plus 3. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. And we're left with 2 times 1 minus x. And 15 minus 3 would be 12. And so there's our first step. Now taking a next little look. There's no more addition or subtraction that we can do on this side. So we'd move straight to multiplication or division from left to right. And this 2 is multiplying into our parentheses. And at this point, we can really kind of go two ways with this. We could distribute our 2 through here, multiply, but I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And so we're undoing this multiplication, and to undo multiplication, we divide. So we get 2 divided by 2 is 1, and we're left with a horrible mess. So we're left with 1 minus x is equal to 6. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. It was a terrible 6. So now what we can do is we're still trying to isolate our x. So we have 1 minus x. This is a positive 1, so we need to undo it. There's no more multiplication or division. We're down to addition or subtraction. So I'm going to move my 1 over. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. And of course, if we have positive 1 and we take away 1, that leaves us with 0. And so we're left with negative x. 6 minus 1 is 5. And we work our way down. We've got negative x equals 5. We can solve this a couple of ways because we're solving for x. We're not solving for negative x. We can simply multiply the whole thing by negative 1. It looks like it's an exponent maybe. Let's make sure it's a little more apparent. So we're distributing the negative 1 term by term. You could also divide the whole thing by negative 1. It just depends on what you want. But we have a negative x times a negative 1. That is x. And we have 5 times negative 1. That's negative 5. And we're done. So just a little bit of differences here. Let's move on to our second example. And what we've got is, I'm going to change this a little bit, kind of move that around, give myself a little more room. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to rewrite our negative 4 divided by 2. I'm going to write that as 4 divided by 2 as a fraction. And I'm going to distribute my 1/2 right off the bat. So my 1/2 distributes, and we get 1/2 times 8x would be 4x. 1/2 times 4 would be plus 2. And then this is minus 4 over 2 is equal to 12. And just writing that as a fraction makes it a lot more apparent what I need to do first. Because when we're solving, it is the reverse order of operations, right? And so we're just going to kind of combine all these things and get everything going. But really, we have this equal sign first, right? So we can simplify this left-hand side as much as possible first, which would be PEMDAS. And then in the end, once we have it simplified as much as possible, we're going to use the reverse order of operations to move everything over except this x to the other side and solve for x. So here's what we've got. We have a 4x plus 2, and then negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. that equals 12. We can combine like terms, and we get 4x. Positive 2 minus 2 is 0, and so that's equal to 12. We're solving, so we're isolating our x here. We have 4 times x. Well, to undo multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And 4 divided by 4 is 1. X equals 3. And we are done.